As our listeners know, I've worked on election integrity for a long time. These next guests you're going to want to hear from. I am so excited. I am over the top with enthusiasm about what I have learned just in the last 24 hours. This is revolutionary, folks. Please welcome Stacy Scott and Carlos Toriello to the truth. Welcome, Tracy and Carlos.
Hello.
So I think everybody that was around in 2020 was really frustrated and upset with the election results because we knew that our franchise had essentially been stolen. You have a solution for that problem, do you not? Carlos, tell us what you discovered, what you've implemented.
I'm CEO at Simple Proof. What we've built is atop the Bitcoin blockchain, and it is a means by which we can facilitate everyone's ability to verify what happened in the digital world. This is particularly relevant for elections because on election night, any election produces some amount of physical data, even if you have paper ballots. At some point, something gets to the internet. And so our solution, which leverages the power of the Bitcoin blockchain, means that when something is created, it cannot change. So on election night, as things are created, if we lend this characteristic to the information, it means that anyone can verify for themselves that whatever election results, documents, or anything that was produced on election night have not been tampered with.
So you're telling me that you're going to use Bitcoin technology to validate or tabulate elections?
I'm telling you, we already have.
So, all right. So, can you tell me how it works? Can you get into the weeds a little bit with us?
Of course. So, for those that don't know how Bitcoin works, Bitcoin is a decentralized computer network that at this point is the most powerful computer network on the planet. And since inception in 2009, has proven that it is outside anyone's control. So, as computers are across the world competing to generate the next Bitcoin block that generates the coins that form the network, those computers are involved in an intense competition that every year has raised the amount of hashing power or computers connected to the network to the point where now there are no computer networks on Earth that have a higher degree of security than Bitcoin. But in addition to the highest degree of security within computers, it's also beyond any one institution and person's control. And so what we do is when a Bitcoin transaction is sent, there is a means by which we can include information in a transaction. Think of it like when you're writing a check the old-fashioned way and you sign it with your pen. There's a memo space on a check. You could write, "Oh, this is my month's rent or my car payment." In every Bitcoin transaction, you can include a memo like that. So we include a mathematical proof where we connect all of the information that was generated at a particular moment in time, say on election night, to that Bitcoin transaction. And therefore, you would have the same degree of protection that currently is behind the $2 trillion worth of assets that Bitcoin has and that the Trump administration has added to the United States Treasury. That same power that protects those trillions of dollars can also protect the election records or really any public record. And so it's just via a specific Bitcoin transaction, we tie that information to everything that can be generated in a particular moment in time.
So the first precinct or first jurisdiction, I should say, in the United States to use the blockchain for recording and tabulating elections is in Silicon Valley, California. Wrong. How
No.
about Screven County, Georgia?
Yes.
Stacy, Scott, you are a pioneer. I assume that you're starting your car with a broomstick these days because this has got to be shaking some people in their boots. Tell us how did you get turned on to this? And you have used it now in Screven County, Georgia, for elections, correct?
Yes, we've used it for 3 elections now. The first election we used it for was the November 2024 elections.
And you've had 2 more elections
Correct.
since then?
Yes, the Public Service Commissioner. So we had the June election and then the July runoff.
Got it. So, how did you find out about it? How did you hear about this?
So I found out about it at a Bitcoin meetup. We actually had in Savannah, there's a Bitcoin group, and we have one of our meetups each month is online. And Carlos joined us for that one to explain what he was doing. And I was like, wait a minute, I do elections. So we started talking afterwards. And I brought it before my board, and the board agreed to have our election secured using the election results secured using simple proof. And so it was very simple, and it happened really fast too. So I believe the meeting that we discussed this at was in August, and we were able to get it in place, or August or September, and we were able to get it in place so that we were able to do this for the November election.
That is amazing. So, can you walk us through mechanically, either or both of you? So, I go into the polling place. Do you use a paper ballot as the initial input?
No.
What is the initial input?
Well, in Georgia, we use BMD's ballot marking devices, and then they print a ballot which is scanned. And so the data that I get comes from the scanner. The initial data I get comes from the scanner, and we use that information to tabulate our results on election night. So I then take that, and when I send that information to the state, I also send it to Simple Proof so that it goes to the Bitcoin blockchain.
Oh my gosh. So you're actually, if I understand you correctly, you're in effect at the tail end, you're using parallel systems to record the votes. Is that right? Or to report the votes?
I think that would be a fair way to put it. So
it goes on one system, you're sending it, you're using the BMB tabulating system. And does it count the votes? Does it record the votes?
The ballot marking device, basically, one way to think of it is it's a pencil that makes sure that the voter can only vote for the right number of candidates. Like, they can't vote for more candidates than they're supposed to. But the BMD is how they mark their ballot. But once they print out the ballot, the scanner, and then the scanner records the votes. And so that's what we use, the data from the scanner to tabulate our election results.
Okay, so the votes get scanned in.
Yes.
And then where does the actual tabulation occur? Is that on the back end from the scanned ballot?
Yeah, so we get the memory cards from each of the scanners, and we upload that information into our elections computer, and that's how the votes are tabulated.
Now, so there's so much to unpack here. A lot of people are really suspicious of that QR code that's on the printed ballot. Can you tell us what that's about, and what does that QR code include?
I am not an expert on that, but from the information that I've heard, the QR code basically explains the position of the votes, the position. So I'm not an authority on how that is done, but the QR code is basically tells which candidate is marked, which candidate the voter voted for. And they explained it somehow by using the positioning on the ballot, but it shows which candidate was marked on the ballot.
So, obviously I'm trying to use my small brain to understand the process and also look for where the weak points are in the process. Carlos, is that QR code, is that subject to being manipulated by people that want to engage in nefarious activity and perhaps skew the outcome of an election?
Well, I'm not an expert either in how the Georgia voting system works. Specifically, what we provide is that whenever a piece of information is created, it cannot change. So whether or not the way that it is handled in Georgia leads to any kind of issues. It's beyond really my understanding. It's more of what we have done with Stacy is the second time that we've implemented this security in an election system where once she reached her election results, that information could not change no matter what. But it's really the start of something where Stacy in her county sits at the county level. So her results go to the Secretary of State. What we've proven is you could do this at basically any county level without it being representing a prohibitive cost. But you could also then take this further upstream so that the machines themselves that are generating things like the QR codes, they could also contain this information so that whatever information is created when you vote or when the machine starts to count it, that is unchangeable, right?
I got it. But Mike, what I'm struggling with, I'm looking for the weak link here. And if you're not collecting the data off of the actual scanned image, but rather summary data that the wherever you're scanning it to actually does the computation, there is a potential weak link there if someone wanted to game the system. Is there not?
There. So there's we haven't worked at that level, but we can. Right. So this is the first time this has been implemented at this stage of the voting process, and it can be brought further down into the process. In our opinion, ensuring that all digital information that is produced at all levels of the voting process is unchangeable will naturally benefit everyone in the voting process. Right. So technically, yes, if the information is changeable, then there is an opportunity for bad actors to take advantage of that, which is where by using the Bitcoin blockchain to ensure that all data as it's being generated is unchangeable, it naturally benefits and improves the security. Now, whether or not there are current vulnerabilities, it's out of my scope to say.
Earlier on in my career, I led a software development team. And so I'm somewhat familiar with the process. I would like to offer you a change order, if I could, a modification of your software, and encourage you to take the actual paper ballot that the BMD. Say it again.
To clarify, our software can work with anything. So, for example, the ballot marking device, the
ballot marking device,
BMD, that is a hardware solution by other technology providers, and they can link into our system and integrate this kind of security system. So our solution can be adopted by all the ballot marking device operators so that at all points in the process it happens. So it's not a matter of changing our software. It's now that we've proven that it works at this level, there is no reason that it can't work at all levels.
Well, I got it. And I'm not, change is the wrong word, an enhancement to your product. I would offer up if that BMD system and wherever the back end is, once that ballot gets scanned, that's at the point that I'm suggesting that your system would read the actual ballot itself, forget the QR code. Then what you've got two ledgers. One ledger comes from the existing system. The other ledger comes from your system, and they got to match or you can't validate the election. That's the Gordon method. What do you think?
So we can work with any kind of hardware system, and even our previous election use case prior to Screven County in Georgia was for the Guatemalan national elections. There, it's all paper ballots. And the paper ballots are hand counted, and there are results at each table that are produced by citizens. And then those citizens take pictures of those documents. That's where we provided our software. So we can work in systems that use voting machines like the ballot marking devices or others. And we can also work with purely hand counted ballots. So the point is, it can integrate in the back end at all levels of the system, providing everyone this assurance and security that they can verify for themselves that none of the information has changed since it was created. It's up to the citizens then to verify, like you said, it's do the multiple audits to confirm that all the results are accurately counted.
Stacy, do you know what the name of the back end is for that system? When you scan the ballot, where does that actually go? Do you know the device or the product that is?
It's a Dominion.
It is to the Dominion system in Screven County's case. So
some counties in the state use other systems. I think ESS is one, but we use Dominion.
Gotcha. So, Carlos, what I'm suggesting is that when Dominion scrapes that data wherever they're getting it from, you scrape the actual entries on the paper ballot, and then you've got an absolute audit check, in my view. Now, I don't know, that might open up some other flaw, but not that I can think of. Stacy, I'm thinking that since this is so leading edge and that you've uncovered such an incredible way of securing the elections once they're tabulated, at least, that people from Atlanta, Brad Raffensperger and Gabe Sterling, I bet they drove down to Screven County to meet with you and to learn about this phenomenal new way of securing our elections. Did they?
Not yet. We have not had that happen yet. So I am trying to talk to people at the SOS office about what we did. Because I think it's something that all of the counties in the state should be doing. The important thing to note was this was done like immediately after I sent the information to the Secretary of State's office on election night. I uploaded it to the blockchain. So that's the same as publishing the results, which is something that I can make the decision to do at my level. Anything that happens before that would have to come from higher up because of the way that we do things. Like that would have to be something that came from a state level. So, but this is something that the counties can choose to do on their own once the election results are tabulated.
So, having worked on the 2020 election, I've seen actual what I consider to be proof. It is not, we have not established chains of custody and the things that we would have to do to submit this in a lawsuit, but it is certainly more than enough proof to encourage for people to look. But in the middle of the night, we saw Trump voter counts decremented and Biden's increasing, and there's belief that people were manipulating the voter results as they came into the Edison system. And we have spreadsheets that actually show that in with real-time stamps to correlate with the time of day that occurred. So you've solved that problem. I mean, once you transmit that data to the Secretary of State, you simultaneously upload it to the blockchain. There can't be any monkeying around with the tabulations at that point, right?
Do you want to? That was one of that I was very excited about this because knowing the controversy that had happened, with the election results in 2020, I was very excited to know that I could protect myself and my staff and our county voters' rights by making sure that that we could verify that the numbers were what we had uploaded.
The tabulations were
that once we tabulate the numbers, that is what we had at that time, because it's not a one-time thing. So I'm not uploading these at the end of the night. I upload them every time I make an upload to the Secretary of State's office. We're required to make 3 uploads. I generally do more. I try to do it each time I have another precinct come in. So possibly I could have 7 or 8 uploads a night. And so I also send the information to the blockchain through Simple Proof every time I make an upload. So when I get my early voting results, when I send that to the Secretary of State, I send it to Simple Proof to put on the blockchain. And each time I make another upload, we do that, which also shows the progression of the votes over the course of the night.
To put it another way is, all election systems require multiple cogs in a giant wheel,
Sure.
and what we're passionate about, amongst other things, is to make sure that every individual part, every individual cog in that wheel that is doing its own work, once it receives any input, say votes from a precinct wherever, and it processes them and then has a product that then is used by at a separate level, say at the state level, that the folks that are working within the system have full confidence and can verify for themselves that no changes had ever occurred. And specifically with working with Stacy, it's proving that even in a rural county that doesn't have an IT budget, we can provide this at scale, affordably, simply, so that it can be executed in real time, allowing everyone to be doing this at all levels of the voting system, meaning that nothing needs to change, nothing can change if we empower those people at all levels with these tools.
Well, I think it is a giant step in the right direction. You're basically, again, securing the results. Um, I think that if, again, this is just me, but if you could take it upstream and secure the data that's going into that, then I think you've got a sure enough winner, and you would have something that is uh, would truly secure elections. Right now, you're securing election results, which is good. I think that's half the picture. Are you looking at perhaps going upstream?
Yes,
Uh,
and we definitely are. Our systems are now calibrated so that they can scale and can be plugged in with any type of hardware system. We just recently signed a contract with a electronic voting provider that works in other states. It hasn't been deployed, so I can't speak to that yet. But that proves that we can work with the machine manufacturers themselves, so that as the machines are doing any kind of work, you have the assurances and the guarantees that anyone can verify the information. So we
right.
can work both upstream from the individual ballot level, as soon as any digital information is created, all the way to the state or even national scale where these things are tabulated. So it's providing an audit trail that anyone can then verify for themselves to ensure and guarantee that no changes occurred that weren't authorized.
Well, I think you're right. You are on the right path, and I am just so hopeful that there will be other adapters. I mean, Stacy, I mean, your election board must really be pretty sharp and pretty astute to have adopted this, the first jurisdiction in the United States of America to do so, from what I can learn.
Yes, and I was very excited that my board was willing to look at this. And the thing is, most of them are not really that technologically savvy. But they listened to Carlos, and when he was explaining what he does, and realized that it was an important way that we could make sure that our results were not changed. Because now, especially with AI, it is so easy for someone to alter things to make it look like the results could have been something other than what they were. And so I was really proud that they were willing to go with this and to do this to protect our results.
Well, I say Stacy Scott for SOS. I'll give you your first donation if you'll announce your candidacy here today.
Oh, I don't think I'm ready for that. I do enjoy working with elections at the local level, though.
Well, they are so lucky to have you. That
I mean, the thing with this is, and one of the important things is, I'm in a rural county that does not have a lot of resources, and we were able to secure the results for $12. I mean, that's the thing that's really important. It's not something that's super expensive that's going to put a burden on any county budget, because I'd even told my board that if they didn't go along with it, I was willing to do this on my own.
you were going to self fund the $12.
Yeah, I was just going to pay the $12 to have it done, because I felt it was important to cover my name since I'm the one signing so many of the results. And I mean, at this cost and how easy it is to use. The other thing is on election night, because I have a super small staff. It's not like some of the counties where they have whole teams of people doing things. I have my poll workers, but like as far as in my office, it's me, and then I have a part-time person. So on election night, it is really crazy, and we're trying to get everything done. This was a way I could secure those results, make sure that nothing was changed, and it took seconds. So it did not cause any problems.
There are a couple of things I'm curious about. When you do those uploads to the Secretary of State's office, is that after the polls have closed?
Yes. So after the polls have closed, and the poll workers bring the stuff back to us. In this case, they bring us the forms, and they bring us they bring us the forms, the ballots, and the memory cards from the scanner. When I get those memory cards, I upload them into our tabulation system, tabulate the results, and then upload them to the Secretary of State's office.
So, what is that tabulation system? Is that Dominion as well?
It is.
So, I'm thinking that really, there's nothing like redundancy and a second system that can check the primary system. And, banks do that every day when they're counting money. And it seems to me that there's a real opportunity here to do this with elections, and that it would not be that difficult to do if the will is there to really secure the elections. Stacy, you explained to me on the phone, and I think it bears repeating, just so our listeners understand. And Carlos, when something goes to the blockchain, you said it then is decentralized. Will you explain exactly mechanically what we're talking about here and how that becomes so foolproof?
Sure. So Bitcoin has tens of thousands of people running it all over the world. So within a period of 10 minutes, any information that is on the blockchain on Bitcoin is replicated at tens of thousands of locations worldwide. And none of them can change the information without everyone else knowing about it. So the only way to stop Bitcoin is to, in a matter of within 10 minutes, take out tens of thousands of computers that are in some places secret, under bunkers and in space. And so it's just, the idea is it's impossible. It's the ultimate game of whack-a-mole. And so within 10 minutes, the information is everywhere on Earth, and therefore it's just impossible to delete by a single person. And that is why effectively it becomes immutable. You cannot change it without everyone on the network, and it's a global network, so it's not just the United States, it's literally every country on Earth that does this. So once that information gets there, it's impossible to take back.
It's like the teacher's report card. I never did it, but I know someone who went to the teacher's desk and they changed the C to look like a B, and nobody was ever wise to it. But with the blockchain, they would have had to have changed that C to a B on about 1 million different report cards, right?
Without anyone realizing it, which is a impossible proposition.
Yes. So it is the penultimate security net for securing the results.
Bitcoin is by far the strongest computer network on the planet, and if folks take away anything, it's just to say that this is still us. We're a new company, and we're born out of the frustration of seeing that it seems like it's increasingly easy to lie and very hard to tell the truth. And fundamentally, what I want people to take away is that what we are building, and I would hope that people take a sense of hope that the truth can actually be protected affordably and simply and in real time. It does not cost money to do this. It just takes a matter of educating and adopting the right tools to do so, and basically requiring that all public information have this, so that it's not just elections. It's really, at the end of the day, when you think about it, all of our public records should be unchangeable. There is no reason why anyone should have the power to rewrite history.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yes, so even in County, we're using it for more than just the election results now. Like during the Public Service Commissioner election, um, 30 days before the election is when we close the voter rolls. Like you don't move people. So at that point, once everyone was entered and we made sure that they were right up until that day, we hashed it. Carlos provided a way for me to do it without that information going on the internet. So no other company, no one else has access to my voters' information. But we were able to hash that file so that we can prove that that is what our voter registration was at the time that the polls were closed, or at the time that the rolls were closed for that election.
So
And we don't know anything about that.
So how do you upload that to the blockchain, but keep the information proprietary? I'm confused.
Sure. So not proprietary, it's confidential. So it's Stacy and certain parts of the government are allowed to have access to the voting rolls, but a company like ours, we have no reason to know this information. And so that's where a computer, it literally does computation. And so we grab that file, in this case containing the voting rolls, and well, we don't grab it, but the Stacy's computer, which already has it, hashes it and creates you can think of it like a fingerprint, as in any digital file is kind of like a person, and what we are taking is their fingerprints, and we're taking those fingerprints and registering them on Bitcoin so that all that we know is the fingerprint. So if I try to tell you something about a person by only using their fingerprint, I can't tell you if they're tall or if they're female or if they're short, right? A fingerprint doesn't say anything about a person. It's the same thing.
It sounds like you're effectively doing what I'm old, so I have a lot of memories that you didn't have an opportunity to acquire. But in the old days, if you wanted to send a letter to somebody and you didn't want it tampered with, you could take this wax seal and put it on the fold of the envelope and seal that letter. And the receiver would know that nobody had opened the envelope because the seal would not be broken and that they would be the one to break the seal. So you've effectively, it sounds like you just digitally seal the voter rolls. And if you ever were called to task, you could likewise unseal them and prove that this was the voter roll that you effectively certified.
Yes. Indeed, but even better because it's digital, so it's trivial to do this, and it doesn't require sending it physically, right? It can go throughout the internet, and it's protected, and no one knows the information except that Stacy and people with the proper credentials to view the information, they can do so.
Fantastic. Well, what questions did I fail to ask that you might want to put on the table? Is there anything else that you want to tell us about this leading edge, brilliant concept that you've come up with?
I think the main thing that I just want to reiterate is that this is so simple and affordable for counties to use that there is really no reason that it could not be used widespread to secure our election results. I mean, at this point, like right now, every county could easily do this.
That does lead me to my next question, Carlos. How many different elections offices are you speaking with, and are you marketing this product nationwide in the U.S.?
So we've been hard at work to, if our position was, if it can work for Stacy in Screven County, Georgia, and it can meet those intense requirements of has to be affordable, can't take more than a few seconds, etc., then we have something that can really scale. And we're just about ready to publish it on our website for anyone to get a membership and sign up and start using it. We'll have a free monthly membership that allows people to use this the freemium version. For folks that are using a lot of this, then they can sign up and pay a monthly credit card subscription. And if there are people that need to use this, say at a significant scale, like for example, the Georgia State Archives or the Florida State Archives, which
Sure.
have hundreds of millions of documents, we can also do that, but that's a separate type of product, right? So we are basically in the next few months going to launch this for anyone to sign up, so that it doesn't require me personally helping and walking hand in hand with you, but rather everything is seamless and intuitive so that you can sign up. I would say go to simpleproof.com and sign up on our website, and very soon you'll get a notice that you can start using it.
Well, I will absolutely do that and encourage our listeners to do that as well. Have you had any high level conversations in our country with deploying this technology?
So we are getting ready to do that this coming month. So you jumped the boat ahead of the line, John. And but very soon we are reaching out to multiple states through different networks. But if you have ideas on who we should talk to and present this tool to, please reach out.
Well, I do actually. And I'm going to do that on your behalf with your permission. President Trump wants to go to paper ballots. And I get the idea. For one thing, it really all but eliminates mail in ballots. I think there will probably still have to be exceptions for old people like me that may not be able to get to the polls, even though I don't fall into that category yet. But and our armed forces that are overseas that may want to vote, I think we need to just get back to the old standard where mail-in ballots was an exception, and it had to be for limited purposes. But then paper ballots and maybe eliminate early voting. I think those are very positive moves in the right direction to securing our elections. Do you have any thoughts on those, Stacy?
I mean, so I will say, in my experience, when we do our risk limiting audit, we have 100% accuracy. So I am not as concerned about the tabulation of the votes, and I'm all for making sure that everybody who is eligible to vote is able to vote, and I do think that the early voting gives that chance.
Yeah, but the only problem is it just opens the opportunity for devilment.
So I'll say our early voting is run exactly like our election day voting is done. It's just done over the period of time. I agree that I understand the concern with the absentee ballots, and I think if there are ways, anything that can be done to secure that, to make sure that everyone who is eligible to vote is able to vote, and exactly that, like nobody.
I'm down with that. I'm not encouraging voter suppression at all.
Right.
But to me, I think the model's got to be turned upside down. I don't think voter access is nearly as important as voter security, as the election security. And what we saw in 2020, everybody had access. Homeless shelters, UPS stores, churches, abandoned apartment buildings, and not in Screven County. Okay, Stacy, you are the election security in Screven County. I don't know you well, but I've known you long enough, 24 hours, and talked to you enough to have an intuitive sense that you're a very good, honest person. Screven County's lucky to have you. In Fulton County, where I reside, not so much. I mean, I can tell you that 4 people saw a pallet full of pristine absentee ballots that looked like they had been filled out by a printer, untouched by the human hand. They were not folded. They were not taken out of envelopes. They were just sitting on a pallet. We also know that Fulton County bought 20,000 absentee ballots 10 days before the election. Now, I know that as a fact because the manager of the elections sat in a deposition with Bob Shealy and told him that under oath. And Shealy said, well, why did you buy those absentee ballots? I don't remember. Okay, so I think there's a pretty strong inference that it was so they could cheat. And so that's what you've got to eliminate. And as long as we got Stacy at the helm, I'm not worried. But if we've got people that are willing to cheat at the helm, then we got a hell of a problem in this country. And the franchise is the foundation of our republic. You erode that, you erode our republic. So
well, let me just say it's also important
Go ahead, Carlos. Sorry.
Oh, just that people like Stacy because Stacy's not the only one. Screven County is not the only place that has high quality people. It's
No, not at all.
they're everywhere, and
We're not worried
that's where
about
we're
the high
passionate
quality people.
making sure that there are so many issues to work on, but at the very least, that every single honest, hardworking person that is involved in the process, their work is immutable and unchangeable, so that they can verify for themselves that all of the sacrifices that they did to create the election system, they can go back and check for themselves that at least their portion of the work is solid, and they can verify it, right?
100%. Well, that's very well said. So here's my deal. Here's my offer. Do you ever watch the All-in-One podcast? It's the
Yes.
#1 podcast in the world. And David Sachs, who is the crypto czar and has a cabinet office in the executive office building next door to the White House, is on that podcast. And next week in Los Angeles, I will be attending the All-in-One Summit. And guess who's going to be there? David Sachs. And guess what? The first thing I'm going to talk to him about if I get the chance. If that is okay with you, I'm going to give him a 30,000 foot view based on what I've understood from you, and encourage that we take a very serious, hard look at how to secure our elections, perhaps using this technology.
Please do so.
You got it. I'll report back to you on that. And again, thank you. You're listening to The Truth with John Gordon. We've had the pleasure of talking to Stacy Scott. She is the head of elections in Screven County, Georgia, and Carlos Toriello, and he is the CEO of simpleproof.com. They are on their way. I do believe this is the most exciting development. And I've studied this stuff, folks, for 4 solid years. I think they are on their way to perhaps saving our republic by securing our elections. I am extremely excited about the possibilities. And I just so appreciate your coming on and talking to us about this. We're on the John Fredericks Radio Network every Saturday and Sunday from noon to 2 in Nashville, Atlanta, Richmond, Norfolk, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Morgantown, West Virginia. We also come to you on CDM Press on their 13 digital platforms. They care about the truth just like we do, and they take our feed and put it out on their social media. Speaking of which, you can watch us on social media. We're on all the normal ones that you can think of: Facebook Live, X, TikTok, Instagram, Getter, and YouTube Live. And that's The Truth. And I'm John Gordon. Stick with us. We got another exciting guest coming right up.